Hello, I'm Baylor Dugan, and I'm going to talk about the Long Beach oil fields. Crude oil was discovered in Long Beach in the 1920s, and since then it has been pumped out of the ground without delay. The finding of the oil fields was popularized in the 2007 movie There Will Be Blood. The Long Beach oil fields are also known as the Wilmington oil fields, and they are the third largest in the continental United States. And they are spread underneath two cities, those being Long Beach and Signal Hill. When oil was discovered, there was an estimated 3 billion barrels of crude oil in the Wilmington oil fields. Since it has been discovered, over 2.5 billion barrels have been extracted, leaving an only estimated 300 million barrels left. It's a common misconception that there is an oil ocean underneath our feet, when in reality, most deposits are found in sandstone and coarse grained limestone and are separated by structures known as traps. These traps have two names, those being structural and stratigraphic. Structural traps were once large portions of oil shale and sedimentary rock, but they were disturbed by some form of seismic activity, which would cause uplift and separation, while stratigraphic traps are more naturally formed in different areas and layers of sedimentary rock, causing them to be at different depths. From the 1920s until now, over 6,150 oil pumps have been produced, with only 1,550 of those pumps still in operation today. There's also 4 pumps off land, and they were created in 1965 by THUMS, which is an acronym for Texaco, Humboldt, Unoco, Mobil, and Shell. These oil islands were created to tap the offshore parts of the Wilmington oil field. The Wilmington oil field was being so overpumped in the 1940s that Long Beach began to sink at a rate of 2 feet per year. This phenomenon was not explained, and it caused detriment to the city in the way of streets began to crack open, underground pipes began to fracture, and buildings began to be deformed and causing them to be unsafe. It was discovered that these oil deposits were being taken out, and the space left was causing cave-ins, so oil workers decided that they would fill the holes with water, and this caused the ground to settle. The Long Beach oil fields are a big part of Long Beach. They make up 5% of the city's annual income, and that is over $80 million annually. That is a lot of money, and it's only 5% of the city's annual budget.
Hey guys, so today I will be talking to you all about the process of oil drilling. First off, geologists must find the oil in order to drill for it. In order to drill for the oil, they must look for the right conditions for an oil trap, such as the right source rock, reservoir rock, and entrapment. The most common way to find oil is by using the process called seismology, which creates shock waves that can pass through hidden rock layers and can interpret the waves that are reflected back by various rock layers. Once geologists find a potential oil strike, they label the location using GPS coordinations on land or by marker buoys on water. The next process would be to clear and level the land, and also the creation of roadways that will help access the designated area where the building will be. Water is used while drilling, therefore there must be some type of water source nearby. If not, the drilling engineers must drill for a water well. The drilling engineers then dig a reservoir pit to dispose of the cutting and the drilling mud that are made during the drilling process. A rectangular pit called a cellar is dug around the location of the actual drilling hole, providing a workspace for the workers. When the land is prepared, the drilling engineers begin to drill several holes around the area to make room for the main hole where the oil will be drilled from. Next, the drilling engineers set up a rig and begin the drilling. They drill a preset depth located over where the oil trap is located. Then they place casing pipes which are designated specifically to help prevent the hole from collapsing inward. While the well is being drilled, it cuts through rock formations, allowing drilling engineers to reach the reservoir. Although the underground pressure of the oil reservoir is enough to force the oil towards the surface, the only thing that is necessary is to place a complex arrangement of valves on the wellhead to connect the well to a pipeline where it directs the oil to a storage facility where the oil will be processed from there. Then it is transported to different locations where consumers, such as companies and everyday people, can purchase it for their own use. Some examples are gasoline, which is used to fuel cars, public transportation, and even airplanes. Oil can also be used to generate electricity, which is then used to keep homes warm during the cold weather and cool during the hot weather. Oil also provides us with energy we use during our everyday life, such as televisions and house lights. Over the years, drilling has become harder to use because of the decrease of locations where fossil fuels are found. Because of this, another way to extract oil has slowly gained popularity. This new method is called fracking.
Over the last 70 years, Long Beach has been sinking due to the fact that there are huge amounts of oil being drained underneath the city. The outcome of oil being drained has resulted to cracked streets, buildings being unstable, making them unsafe, and creating geologic shaking. The city has tried a lot of techniques to create a solution for this problem, but the only one that actually worked was the practice of fracking. Fracking is chemical-laced, saline water being injected at high pressures, thousands of meters underground, that loosens the deposits of gas and oil. When the practice is done, it would create large amounts of wastewater that can normally be put into storage wells, thrown into the ocean, or recycled in agriculture. The usage of fracking will usually be the last method that is used when there is nothing else that will do the job well. Even though using the method of fracking has stopped the subsidence, it was creating even more problems that made many people living in the area want the fracking to be stopped. In fact, a lot of people want to get fracking banned for multiple reasons. There are local organizations like Stop Fracking Long Beach that are involved in finding out what is going on underneath the city, which is very important because the city's government will tend to make false statements stating that fracking does not cause any harm and that there is no need to worry about it. Those types of statements can be proven wrong because in recent studies it has shown that in other states like Oklahoma and Colorado, where fracking has been used, they have experienced the outcome of fracking with earthquakes. In Bakersfield, reports have also shown that earthquakes have also been produced by fracking that was taking place about 50 miles away. These shocks can take place either days to months to even years after the injections. People are not only on edge about any potential earthquakes, it is that communities have to be extra careful with their health. A lot of the chemicals that are involved are known to be toxic and to cause cancer. The health of so many people that may or may not know what is going on beneath the city are being put at risk by having these deadly chemicals nearby. Having chemicals in the air is also a reason why Long Beach is one of the most polluted cities in the United States. Even though there have been many attempts to clean the air for the past 2 decades, they have been unsuccessful.
When regarding fracking, oil companies are known to release false data and claim fracking is only seen as bad because big celebrities with no knowledge about fracking have spoken out against it, misinforming the public. Fossil fuel companies say that fracking is the best option because it lowers carbon release, is cheaper than drilling, and keeps jobs in the United States. These companies also admit that fracking does cause earthquakes, but they attempt to shrug it off by saying the earthquakes are small and therefore should not be seen as an issue. These earthquakes caused by fracking are called micro-earthquakes. They are small earthquakes deep below the surface and are too small for us to feel. While micro-earthquakes are sometimes natural, there is an abundance of them near fracking sites, showing a strong correlation between fracking and earthquakes. Some issues these companies don't talk about is the harm fracking does to the planet and to the people working on their fracking sites. The chemicals used in these places are strong enough to pass through the safety equipment of the workers, harming their health in the long run. The most common health issue is an incurable lung disease called silicosis. Silicosis is the inhalation of small crystalline silica that causes the lungs to be penetrated. Besides harming people, fracking also harms the environment. Pipes used for transporting water from fracking sites can break and cause a spill like what happened in Yellowstone. In 2011, a pipeline transporting tar sand ruptured in a river near Yellowstone, releasing 42,000 gallons of crude oil in only 30 minutes. Exxon paid the people affected and lied to the public, claiming that only 2,000 gallons were spilled. The people affected claimed that their land was no longer the same. Although Exxon paid a large sum of money, no amount of money will turn the damaged land back to its original state. Besides damaging the surface, fracking is much more dangerous to the ground below the surface. The micro-earthquakes related to fracking pose as a larger threat to the fault lines. Fracking is not the direct cause of the earthquakes, but the end product of fracking. Disposal wells. These disposal wells are the final resting place of the fluids used in fracking. These disposal wells are filled with fluids used from different fracking sites. While micro-earthquakes do start off relatively small, scientists in Columbia University discovered that the micro-earthquakes can cause something known as an earthquake domino effect. What that means is that although these earthquakes start off as small and harmless to the surface, they can weaken surrounding fault lines, creating much larger earthquakes. The weakening of the fault lines will result in more frequent and destructive earthquakes. The scariest part is that the larger earthquakes can be triggered by large earthquakes thousands of miles away. Although earthquakes are common, they can be scary and a pain to experience. There should be no reason why fossil fuel companies are putting people in danger, especially lying to them about their safety.
Damage that is being done to the people by oil fields is climate change. The oil fields do take some part into how our environment is failing. The first item that oil affects in our environment is through our air. It creates air pollution through cars, buses, planes, anything that can transport you from point A to point B. Oil production and use have made significant contributions to global greenhouse emissions, increases in carbon dioxide, concentrations in the atmosphere, and the consequent changes to our climate. The chemicals that are released from burning oil for fuel are carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, sulfur dioxide, nitrogen oxide, and particulate matter. The chemicals can cause global warming, acidic rain, and a bad ozone layer that can harm our lungs. Oil also causes wilderness destruction because the gas companies and oil companies cut down the trees in order to have more ground for them to extract oil. With oil, it is very often to have something burst or to spill into rivers, oceans, etc., which causes our environment to be in danger because it can go into our sources of food, water, possibly even our shelter. Since everything contributes to one another, burning fossil fuels will cause climate change. The fossil fuels are oil, gas, and coal. Burning these items have caused weather to change from extremely hot to extremely cold in just a matter of days. It has also caused rising sea levels that will take the homes from animals that live in the Antarctic, such as polar bears and penguins, etc., and has caused the ocean to expand because of the warmth of the water. The greenhouse effect has also taken a part in the climate change with the burning of fossil fuels because we continue to burn them. It has been recorded by Oil Change International that the planet has gotten warmer by 1 degree Celsius since the beginning of Industrial Revolution. This image was taken from 1921, and all around it are oil derricks that have been in use. These oil derricks had been producing 20% of the nation's oil. The next image shows that by the 1930s, there were less vegetation. In this exact spot today, in 2016, not many derricks are around, but it is still in use today.